Support comes from St. Louis Public Library Foundation, helping the library serve children and their families with programs and services needed to become lifelong readers. More information about the foundation is at slpl.org.
This is St. Louis on the Air from St. Louis Public Radio. I'm Elaine Cha. As St. Louis Public Radio continues to cover the effects of May 16th's EF3 tornado in our local area, here on St. Louis on the Air, we'll be bringing you a range of first-person perspectives from folks who've been directly impacted by that extreme weather event. Today is the start of week 2 since the May 16th tornado, and we're starting our show by talking with an SLPS educator, basketball coach, and musician, Tenelle Winmore. Tenelle is a homeowner in the Fountain Park neighborhood in North St. Louis. Tenelle, thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm so sorry about how this tornado has affected you and your community.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah.
So Tenelle, Thursday, May 15th was actually a very special day for you. Tell us about what was happening then.
I got my master's degree from St. Louis University. I'm a St. Louis teaching fellow. And so it was a great day. I got my degree, got to see all my family and really spend time with them and fellowship with them. So it was a wonderful day.
Mm-hmm. So then the next day is when the tornado hit. Very, very different situations. And as an educator with St. Louis Public Schools, and then along with the teacher that the coaching that you're doing for the varsity basketball team at Metro High, that's just not too far from where we're sitting right now. You have relationships with students. What have your students' reactions been to the tornado?
Well, I ended up going to work. I missed the first Monday, but I ended up going towards the end of the week. And really their reaction was just, they were glad that I'm okay. I didn't really get into the details of what went on, but they know I was affected by it. And so they just were showing love, and we were kind of saying our goodbyes as we go our separate ways going into the summer. So it was good to feel their energy and get to see, because I teach at the middle school during the day, so I got to see them graduate. So that was a positive thing for me to get back to a sense of normalcy. Mm-hmm.
And were there any of them who had relatives or friends, family friends who were impacted?
Yes, almost everybody knows somebody who's been impacted by this. I didn't really get into the stories of each and every individual kid, but they definitely have been impacted and by the loss of power and just, seeing the city in a different light with this tragedy happening. So everybody has been affected somewhat emotionally by it.
Tenelle, in our introduction, we talked about where you live, and that is in the Fountain Park neighborhood.
Lewis Place Fountain Park.
Fountain Park. And you live in a house that you own, and you are in the process of rehabbing another house in your neighborhood. What is the state of each of those properties now?
So the house that I'm in didn't get damaged as badly as the house across the street. I just got help with clearing out some of the debris and things from the backyard of the house that I'm in. Unfortunately, somebody tried to kick my door in during that time where it was no power. So, I'm starting to see different things I need done, tuck pointing. I need to fix the roof. I was able to get it tarped with the help of some organizations that have been helping out in the area. But my house across the street luckily, it could be a lot worse. I have a tree that's lodged into the back corner of the house. Luckily, that's structurally a place that can bear weight, but a foot to the right, and my contractor said I would have been in bad shape. It would have just went straight through the house. So luckily, it's just like lodged onto the brick. And, it's some damage, obviously, but it's salvageable damage.
The tornado itself, when it hit, were you in either of these houses?
Yeah, I was in my house. I had just got back home from hot yoga. So shout out to True Fusion. They helped me get through this time as well. I did some hot yoga that morning. I got back, and I just got back maybe 10, 15 minutes before everything got to going. And I thought it was probably just a normal we deal with tornadoes on a regular basis in terms of the warnings, and it usually doesn't hit the city. So I got the alert that it was in Clayton. I didn't hear any sirens from outside or anything, but I did know that it was in the county. And I'm looking out the window as it started picking up, and my peach tree left the yard. And I was like, okay.
It left the yard.
Yeah, it like almost just jumped down the hill to where my car was. And so I was like, okay, let me go in the basement and take this more seriously. But it all happened really quick. It didn't look like a typical tornado that I've seen in the past. It kind of just, I thought it was going to be like a storm passing through, maybe some rain, some wind. But it was F3.
So coming out of the basement after that, what is it that you saw?
I went outside. I took a video. I immediately noticed that the biggest tree we have in the middle of our street was completely uprooted to the point where it was like a big crater in the middle of the parkway. And so I was like, man, this is crazy. So I just started analyzing the damage and looking around. Before I got outside, I saw what I thought was my roof hanging over the back of the house, but it was a neighbor's roof, I believe, that ended up coming and hitting my house and being stuck on top of that. So I really was just analyzing the damage, kind of taking it in with my neighbors. We all were kind of just in shock, like, whoa, this really happened, So just trying to make sure everybody was okay, check on the elderly people who were in my neighborhood and stuff like that, and just, analyze the damage, assess the damages that were happening.
Right. About those damages, what is it going to take to start, more involved repairs? Do you have insurance that will help you to do that? Yeah,
fortunately, I had insurance on both houses, so I just actually met with one of the adjusters before I came here. So I'm in the process. Like I said, I got a contractor that's been helping me out because I'm not the most well-versed when it comes to everything with this. This is the first situation I've ever had to deal with, like home insurance and stuff like that, with me being a new homeowner. So it's going to take some time, I'm sure, but the community has been coming together and helping out a lot. But I really feel for people who are affected even worse than me a little further north and just even a block over. Depending on where you were at, the damages vary. And so seeing people who have to start over that might be in the later stages of their life is really disheartening, and just seeing places that I grew up seeing every day that will no longer be the same is just tough. So
I'm speaking with Tenelle Winmore, a homeowner in the Fountain Park Lewis Place neighborhood in North St. Louis. The house where he lives and the property he's been working to renovate were both damaged in the May 16th tornado. If you have been impacted by the tornado directly or been on the ground volunteering and want to share your story with us, leave us a voicemail at 314-516-3697. That's 314-516-NEWS. Tenelle, on this point of community, along with planning repairs on your own properties, you've been helping out your neighbors as well. And as you've done that volunteer work, what are the people around you talking about? What are their concerns?
That's a good question. Really, I think the biggest concerns for some people is being able to conduct the business that they would need to get everything taken care of. Like if you're not well versed with technology, it might be a harder process for you to take on. But I don't even look at it like being a volunteer. I just look at it like being a neighbor. And so we all just have come together to comfort each other and be there for each other in whatever we may need. So whether it's food, whether it's, any resources we're sharing with each other, I feel like it's just brought us all even closer together during this time.
Yeah.
So,
are there any examples of that you can share to kind of help people understand, what this community looks like?
So it's a elder on my street named Miss Jackson. She's a former teacher as well, very nice lady, and she's a widow at this point. But yesterday was Memorial Day, so I was able to give her a plate of food, just that was cooked for the holiday, and just little things like that. I feel like that made her day, maybe even her week, to know that somebody cared about her enough to give her a sense of normalcy during this time where she just would have been in the house by herself, so that's one example. Another example will be my neighbors helping me clean the debris from the house across the street, us getting everything into the middle of the street so we could kind of have, so we could get the trees out of the way and chop up everything so it could be a safe passage through the street. So that's another example of just us coming together, and self-deployment is the term everybody's using, where we're just friends are coming by, giving you what you need, and we're just working together as a community to get through the situation the best we can.
Are there concerns, Tenelle, that you have for your immediate neighborhood and for whatever it is that you consider to be your community?
Yeah, just people trying to take advantage of the situation. Like I said, somebody tried to break into my home during that time. People are kind of circling, licking their chops in a vulturous way, looking at the new property that may become available, trying to buy homes from people and stuff like that. So you have your volunteers and your people who are doing good work, and then you have people who are utilizing the situations for their own dirty religion, for their own situation. So that is something that I have been seeing that is an issue that I'm concerned about. And also for the people who are elders, how do they rebuild? Some people only know this neighborhood for the last 50, 60, 70 years, however long they've been in the area. Mm-hmm. And so now I fear that they may be pushed to a different area because they might not have had insurance, or maybe there was a lapse or post-COVID. It's been a lot of things going on economically to where you could not have been prepared for this situation. And so I would hate to see people be displaced. Yeah. And I feel like it's inevitable at this point.
Mm-hmm. Another community, Tenelle, that you are an active part of is the STL Music and Creatives community. Mm-hmm. You're one half of Souls of Liberty, a rap duo based in St. Louis. We've talked with you here before. Mm-hmm. How are your fellow artists doing? How are their families?
I've been reaching out to a lot of different people. Everybody's situation is different. I think everybody is saddened just seeing the North Side in the state that it's in. Not that it was the jewel, of the city before the tornado, but to see the devastation has had a huge impact on everybody. But like I said, it's also made us come together closer with our online community and share. So if anybody needs anything, they can reach out to the creative community and we can help give them resources to get through the situation. So it's been sad. I've been seeing a lot of outcry and a lot of, different expressions of how they feel about the situation in terms of documenting the situation. But also I've seen a ton of unity and just a resiliency to make St. Louis strong or better than where we're at right now.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned earlier, we're at the start of week 2 since that EF3 tornado tore through our region. That includes your community and Fountain Park, Lewis Place. Mm-hmm. Other than volunteer efforts, progress seems slow. We're learning that receiving aid from the government is a long wait, and there are many precedents that demonstrate that. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow, up to 41 members of the Missouri National Guard they'll be in St. Louis to assist with cleanup. And Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe on Sunday, just a couple of days ago, sent a major disaster declaration request to President Trump. Then FEMA's going to be on the ground this week doing preliminary damage assessments. And again, looking at the past, it usually takes 6 to 8 weeks between when a disaster actually occurs and then when any president approves requests. You're talking about elders. You're talking about people who are displaced. There are very immediate needs. For yourself, what are your plans around, rebuilding? And not only for yourself, but how are you seeing yourself being part of community rebuilding?
That is a heavy question. For me, I'm just taking it one day at a time. You know what I mean? I think as far as the outlook for what I could do to help people, I could just be there to support it. But I have to get myself together first. And that's really the balance that I've been dealing with is like, I want to clean up, I want to help others, but also realizing that I've been a victim in this situation as well. So I think it's really just taking it one day at a time. I know that sounds really cliche, but I don't have a good answer for that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think we just got to continue to realize it's going to be a marathon. Yeah. And it's not a quick fix, and just be willing to whatever it is that you can contribute, just contribute it. Everybody has different limitations, and we all have lives that we have to continue that we can't stop for the tornado. But if you could donate or if you could provide resources to communicate things to people who need help, like say our elders and people who may not be technologically savvy, if you can be a resource to people in need, just be that resource and we'll figure it out together over time. But it is going to take time, and we just got to keep chipping away at it.
Tenelle, are there questions it does not help to ask right now?
I don't know. I think all questions are valid because everybody is trying to understand. And if it's coming from a genuine place, I don't think it's any questions that are invalid. Like I said, it's just the people who don't have the best intentions, I think, or people who are being somewhat insensitive, because a lot of people are dealing with live time with their life, and it is a lot of people just driving around neighborhoods, scouting, filming things for whatever their reasons may be. But I think they need to be more empathetic to the people who are actually going through the situation, that this isn't just a cool social media post or, a way for you to get brownie points in your community for helping out. Make sure it's genuine. That's all I think anybody could ask. We appreciate any help that we receive, but just make sure it's humane and it's coming from a genuine place,
And keeping your spirits up during this time. We talked a little bit about this before we started the conversation on air. What has been helping you to keep your spirits up, to go from day to day? What has that been?
Like I said, yoga has helped me a lot. Just gratitude has been my whole thing since this happened. I kind of feel a renewed strength because it's like, this is kind of as bad as life could get to a certain degree. So it's like, going forward, I do see a silver lining. I see, like I said, the unity and the love, and I think that could be sustained beyond this tragedy and become a new normal for people in St. Louis, especially in the Black community. I think we all understand where we're at now and where we need to go. So I just been, like I said, just taking it one day at a time. I think the yoga has helped me a lot. The love from friends, the family, the community, just the interactions, being able to know that people are there for you and that they care about you. Even people who are outside of the state, people I went to college with, people that I know back from Chicago, everybody is concerned and willing to help. So to see the love online has been great.
Mm-hmm. Please make sure to keep us up to date about what all is happening and how things are going.
Okay, I will, for sure.
Tenelle Winmore is an educator, writer, and resident of the Fountain Park Lewis Place neighborhood. His 2 properties, which include his home, were damaged in the tornado on May 16th. Tenelle, thank you so much for talking with us today, and best of luck as the coming days bring whatever they happen to bring.
Thank you. STL strong.
This episode was produced by Maya Norfleet.
Our executive producer is Alex Hoyer.
St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations, and leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thank you.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis.
The Gateway brings you the day's news each weekday from around the St. Louis region and the state capitals in Jefferson City.
Our schools are accredited. We don't need this bill.
And Springfield.
How many more years must pass before lawmakers see time is of the essence?
I'm Abby Larico. Join me each weekday for The Gateway on the STLPR app or wherever you get podcasts.